Hi, everybody. This is Tamara from Moogly, and we are coming to you live today. It is December 20th, 2023, which means it is just a few days until Christmas, and certainly is going to be our last live before we take our Christmas break. So I wanted to sit down, of course, and go over the usual chat and things with you today. Since we are live, we are attempting to go live today on both Facebook and YouTube. So if you'll give me just a second, I just want to click through and make sure everything's working so that I can answer any of your questions here as we go. But it means I have to keep an eye on two different spots. So it just takes me a second here. Nope, that's last week's. I got last week's to come up, not finding this week's. For some reason, my phone doesn't like to show me right when I go live. So, Jeff, if you could hand me those comments when you get a chance, that would be super helpful. Jeff's, as always, here helping me out. Jeff's my husband. He does all the technical stuff on Moogly. So he is, as always, a huge help. Thank you so much. Now I've got his phone for the YouTube comments. So, all right. Now it looks like we are up and running. Hi, Julie. Thank you so much for tuning in. Things are great. December's going really well. Busy as always, right? I'm sure all of you are too, scrambling here in these last days. So happy Hanukkah to those who have already celebrated this month. Merry Christmas, Happy Yule, Joyous Solstice. Happy Kwanzaa, anything else that's coming up through the end of the month. Happy New Year. I hope whatever you're celebrating this month or have celebrated, that it's going well and that everybody in your family is healthy and happy right now. So many sicknesses going on around. Just want everybody to be, that's the big ones, right? Healthy and happy this year. So let's talk about what's been going on, right? Moogly Crochet Along 2023 is finally done. The year, I say finally, like this year didn't completely fly by. I swear every year goes faster than the last. I literally finished sewing in my ends, about the last ends for my blanket for the border that I did. I'm gonna say 20 minutes ago, approximately, maybe half an hour now. Finally just finished, took some photographs. I actually have the blanket behind me here. I am going to be doing a live, I'll tell you right now, December 29th at 11 a.m. Hopefully all of these places as well, to talk officially about Moogly Crochet Along 2024 and show off the blanket and everything I did for 2023. But since you're with me live today, let's take a quick sneak peek. Normally I hold up one square. Now all my squares are joined together. Like I say, I just finished it up just a few minutes ago. I joined with the white. You noticed, if you were following along with the squares, you may have noticed I finished all my squares in white this year, so then I used white for the joining. I used the tight braid join. Kind of hold it up, maybe get some of the sun through it there. You can kind of see how that looks. I'm bumping everything. This thing's huge. I did do 4x6 for the blanket, so it's a little bit bigger than that once you add on the border. And then I realized holding up the back of it, the border, let me turn it around here, is actually reversible. So for the border, it doesn't matter. But if you follow along Moogly very closely, you may have seen I did a tutorial for a peppermint twist throw pillow for a Yarnspirations Lunch and Learn. And so I adapted the border from that pattern to create the border here for the blanket. It's this great twist. You use these two colors. So I used white for all my joining, and then I did a solid row of single crochet all the way around the outside. And then into that, I worked these twisted stitches right here. So I will definitely be writing up how I did that in the big post for the crochet along. So like I say, just now finished mine literally this morning. And we'll be photographing it and getting it all written up so that we can go live December 29th at 11 a.m. Central Time and talk all about the crochet along. We can go over everything I did this year and what's going to happen next year. Same similar-ish schedule. Next year, Thanksgiving's actually, it's still the fourth Thursday of the month, right? It has to be the fourth Thursday of the month, but it's not till November 28th. So it's a really late Thanksgiving next year. On the upside, it gives us one more week at the beginning of the year to get our yarn and get all set up for the crochet along. So we're working on that, but all the details, I'll be back live to share December 29th. Gonna take a few little breaks, over the holiday and spend some time with family. So that's what's happening there. I have officially also, little bit of side news, nothing to do with anything, reached the age where I have to put these on to be able to read your comments. So give me just a second. Oh, great. Yeah, Julie's said you're working on yours. You finished square 24 yesterday. That's awesome. And thank you. I'm so glad you love the border. It is just a really fun border. It takes a while, though. I will tell you what, that twisted border look, that peppermint border. Oh gosh, that one takes a while. I was glad it was only 1 round to do all that because just keeping the yarns untwisted and everything, it's a little bit of work, but I love the result, so it was worth it. Let's see what else is going on. Hi, Kathy and Melanie and Frida. Thank you so much for tuning in as well. So that's where the crochet along is at right now. I will tell you for those who are getting, you're doing your yarn shopping here with all the holiday sales and everything. If you want to go ahead and get your yarn, we're still using worsted weight yarn with a J hook. That's a 6 millimeter. I will probably be using Red Heart with Love. Karen 1 pound is also a great suggestion. I believe Bernat Premium. I haven't used that one myself, but I believe it's a good solid worsted weight yarn. And really, of course, whatever worsted weight yarn makes you happiest. Worsted is what gives us our 12-inch squares. If you want to use a DK or something like that, you'll just have smaller squares. You can use a bulky for bigger squares. Totally up to you. But like I say, we'll go over all those details later. I just wanted to give a little bit out there for those who like to do their yarn shopping early. For amounts, you can look at the intro post for this year. It's always about the same amount of yarn. And we'll be doing a little bit of math on that later today. So let's see what else is happening. We have 2 new patterns up on Moogly this month, the big checked crochet scarf and the matching hat. And I'm very excited to finally be showing you these today in this live because now it means I get to start wearing them. I have this rule for myself that after I crochet something, I know I'm going to be showing it off in a live and I have to make the tutorial and all that. I have to go through all of that before I'm allowed to actually use it for myself. So today, show it off the live. I finally get to keep these items for me. So I've been wanting to wear this scarf for about 2 weeks now. It is so warm and cozy. But this is the big checked crochet scarf. You can see this is about 13 inches wide and 10 feet long, not including the fringe. And it's got this really fun fringe effect on it. There we go. Get that in focus. Where I did chains, just a chain of 30 to create this long, gorgeous fringe. Then you come back and slip stitch in the next stitch and just keep going. You don't have to trim it out. You don't have to comb it. You don't have that one weird one that always pops up 2 weeks later, 2 inches longer than all the rest. It's just a really fun way to make fringe. It is a really fun way to make a scarf. And of course, you don't have to make it 10 feet long if you don't want to. It's a scarf. You stop when you've got the length you like. I used Karen Colorama Halo Perfect Phasing for it. And I really enjoyed using this yarn. I used 3 different colorways. You can see here was starting at one end of all the yarns. By the time we got a little over halfway, I didn't use the whole skein, but we got a little over halfway, the colors had changed quite a bit. So it was really fun to see the colors sort of gradually change throughout the scarf. And then, of course, had to wrap up the year with a matching hat. Always like to have one hat and scarf pattern here at the end of the year, right? So here is the matching hat now. You could put, where did it go? Oh, there it is. Hold on. I was going to say, you could put a pom-pom on it. Mine rolled away. I just kind of held it there for the photos because I like to be able to photograph it both ways. But of course, you would just sew it right on the top. And there is the hat. I use the same technique, but just 2 squares. We actually work side to side. And the video tutorial for this one will be up later this week. So this uses just some of the leftover yarn from the scarf. So you get those 3 colors and you can make both for a matching set. And the hat in particular works up really quickly. The scarf, 10 feet of crochet, does take a little bit longer. But like I say, this tutorial will be up later this week. Should be up Friday. So that is coming as well. So hi, everybody. Thank you so much. Oh, thank you, Beth. This is the Batwing lace sweater that I'm wearing right now. So thank you so much. I'm going to have to put the glasses back on. Showing my age, you guys. All right. Oh, gosh, thank you. Yes, it is super soft and warm. Here is that Karen Colorama Halo Perfect Phasing. I forgot to hold that up. This is not one of the colors I used, but it's one of the colors I certainly considered using because it's gorgeous. But I just love, I've got some more of them here from other stuff I was doing. These are some really pretty neutrals. This one was another one I was looking at. And then, of course, they've got real bright colors, too. It's not all just neutrals and kind of, those more muted tones. We've got lots of great colors. I ended up using some of the brights here in the video tutorial. So you'll see those in action as well. There's another one. Really gorgeous yarn. I just love the effect. And it feels really good, too. You can see it's got quite a bit of fuzz to it. That's the halo. There we are. So it feels really, really, really good. And it's one of those ones, I'm one of those people who I get really sensitive, like around the neck especially. You'll feel yarn with your hands, be like, oh, it's really soft. And then, ooh, it's very pokey and itchy in the neck. Not this stuff. Absolutely gorgeous. could not be happier with the projects I've made with it. So definitely check that out if you get a chance. Let's see what else is happening. We had Wilma Westenberg in the Will Made Designer Showcase. She's fantastic. I got a chance to meet her several years ago. It wasn't until we did this designer showcase and I read her bio that I realized just how young she is. How young she was when I met her, which is even more impressive. I mean, not that, she looks old or anything, but she's just such a wonderful young woman and she's really got her stuff together. I was very lovely to meet her and I'm just so impressed by her. So do check that out if you get the chance. Plus her designs are just gorgeous. Beyond being a lovely person, she's a fantastic designer. She's got some really, really fun things that she's doing with granny squares right now too. Granny squares are kind of all the rage, right? Let's see. So we also did the Fallen Snow Tree Skirt pattern and tutorial. That's a free pattern that you'll find on yarnspirations.com. We used Bernat Plush Big, which is the big version. I have over here what was left after we did some of our tutorial. You can see it's a really thick yarn. So that is a finger crochet project. So if you want to learn finger crochet and you need to make a quick tree skirt, it's going to have to be pretty quick. This is a great solution with this great big yarn. And if you don't like finger crochet, you can just follow the pattern with the hook size recommended on the package. So if I understand fingers crochet is not for everybody, so that's okay. You can definitely do both. So hi, Dawn. Happy holidays. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. All right. So like I say, I have to keep putting these on and off so I can see what's going on. So those are all the things that have happened besides the giveaways. We've got 3 giveaways going on right now. I believe they're all going to go, yes, they should all go over the holidays, so none of these end till January. We have, of course, the yarn everybody is buzzing about right now. I think I'm seeing it just about everywhere. Red Heart Granny Square is all-in-one granny square. Very long name. I think we're just going to end up calling it Red Heart Granny Square, right? But this is yarn. You can see, looks like a self-striping, right? Big chunks of color. This is sort of the ultimate in planned pooling, if you will. It's not so much that it pools, but it creates an actual granny square. So I've only got a few of the colors here. I'm actually working on a design using this one, which is sort of the Aran Cream. Want to do something really kind of neutral. It feels like neutrals are having a moment right now. But there are a ton of different brights. There's ones that end in white. There's ones that end in black. Ones that like this one that end in sort of this cream color. But basically, you make granny squares. And the only ends you have are the starting end and the end, if you will. Now, you will, as you're learning it, as you're figuring it out, you're going to have a couple of, fails. You're going to have a square that's too big, a square that's too small. What you want to get with this is 6-inch squares. And it takes a little bit of trial and error. The recommended hook size on the package is 5.5 millimeter. Myself, and I believe both myself and Sarah from Repeat Crafter Me, because I was looking at her blog post about this yarn, both of us found it helpful to switch down to a 5 millimeter. We both had a lot more luck with a 5 millimeter crochet hook. So when I do these, sometimes you get a little bit of color bleed through, if you will, like on the next round. I find I might have one stitch in that next color, and you can adjust for that. You can pull your stitches out, tighten them up, loosen them up as necessary to hit it exactly. But personally, I don't mind it. I kind of like the little, that little touch of homemade, if you will, that I get with these. So for me, they may not be absolutely perfect every time, but it still definitely gives you that gorgeous granny square look. And of course, as we all know, it's totally handmade. But you can see here's an example where the color maybe a little dot, right? Oh gosh, it's hard to do that. There we go. A little dot right there or something. But so like I say, it does take a little bit of practice. You want to sit down. One of the great things about practicing with this yarn, though, is you don't have to waste a skein practicing. You just pull off the amount of yarn to make one square. What you want to do is look at the label, see what the center color is, find that beginning, and you can cut just the length needed to make one square, the length allotted for one square, if you will, and then practice with that length. Try a couple different hook sizes. Make around, in half double crochets and double crochets if you're running out of color early, or whatever you need to do to adjust it and find the path, if you will, that works best for you. I will say this is really helpful because when I first got this yarn, I didn't have this part and we were really trying to figure it out. But there are instructions on the inside of the label for the specific type of granny square that this makes. If you've been crocheting for a while, you probably know there's probably 6 or 7 different ways that you can crochet a granny square, right? Do you have a chain in between your clusters? Do you have, do you turn at the end of every row? How do you join at the end of a round? All of these can make a big impact on the amount of yarn used, especially when it comes to something like this. So definitely try it out with the enclosed instructions. That's going to get you a lot closer. I found that really helpful. Um, but like I say, don't be afraid to, fudge it a little bit and see what works best for you. Uh, I know I've talked to them about this at the People at Your Inspirations. They did so much planning trying to get just the right length that's going to work for the vast majority of people. But you have to put in that little bit of work on your end too to figure out what hook's going to get you the gauge to get you that 6-inch square. So that's what you're aiming for with this one. And of course, you can just treat it like a regular self-striping yarn too and just have some fun. You don't have to make granny squares out of it. You can knit with it. You can do all kinds of other projects, just work in rows or the round. I think short rows are going to be really interesting. I think people are going to do some really interesting stuff with this yarn once they get a chance to play with it. So, yay. And I agree, Dawn. Yeah, it's handmade, a little extra color through. I kind of like that look, especially with the neutral one that I picked out for my first project with it. So in the meantime, like I say, I'm working on a design, won't be out till January. I need some time. I've got it in my head. I just got to get it off my hook. And so that will be coming up. But Sarah from Repeat Crafter Me, again, she has a really cute Christmas tree. She basically takes one of these and does a couple of quick folds. I watched the little video of how she does it, but she folds it together. It makes a really cute Christmas tree ornament. Follow her instructions. They're much better than me trying to hold it up and figure it out from memory. So that is a lot of fun. She's got that up on her site right now as well. And then of course, granny squares, right? What came out a week before the granny square yarn? All these sheets we put together for you guys. I just wanted to remind you, we have all these layouts. So sure, a blanket, granny squares, you can figure that out. 6-inch squares. But don't forget about all these bags, right? 1 to 10 squares, you get 14 squares, I believe, out of each skein. So that's enough to make any bag on here. Then we've got the sheet, which takes more, 12 to 32. You'd probably want to go ahead and grab 2 skeins. But all the plans, so many things. They've come out with a ton of gorgeous patterns, of course, on Your Inspirations to go with the new yarn. And I've got those linked in the giveaway for that yarn as well. But don't forget about all those other things you can make with granny squares that we highlighted on Moogly just recently. So anyway, yes, we are giving away some of this Red Heart Granny Square yarn on mooglyblog.com right now. Giveaway will go through January, so we'll pick winners, or a winner rather, at the end of January. But in the meantime, it is supposed to be going into stores eventually. Right now, it's just available on yourinspirations.com. It's it's hard to get shelf space this time of year, right? There's lots of stuff, lots of competition for that shelf space. So this will start coming out onto the shelves in the new year, I believe, if not before. So hi, everybody. Hi, Jessica. Thank you. Hi, everybody. Merry Christmas, everyone. Thank you for watching. Then we've got 2 more giveaways going on right now. Always like to have a yarn giveaway going, but right now we also have 2 book giveaways going on. There is Exploring Tunisian Crochet. This one is by Lori Harrison, printed by Stackpole Books. It is a really fantastic book on Tunisian crochet. I'm really genuinely so impressed by this one. In addition to having 20 patterns, which is great for a pattern book, it really goes beyond the whole, so many crochet books will have a little introductory section about how to single crochet and all that stuff. But this one really dives in to the techniques of Tunisian crochet, and it has so many great, it's always hard to do that backwards. There we go. They have so many great step-by-step photos. You can see kind of every move as much as you can without having video. Every move is really shown really clearly. So if you're someone who wants to learn how to Tunisian crochet, I would highly recommend picking up this book. And of course, looking up a few video tutorials when needed as well. If you already know how to Tunisian crochet or you want to expand your skills, these are some really fun, great patterns. It's just a really, really great book for anybody who wants to give Tunisian a try. And again, it kind of feels like Tunisian's having a moment lately. So that is a lot of fun. That's happening right now. And then my friend Debbie is back with another amazing puzzle book this year. She has done a few of these now. I believe she started doing these, if I recall the story correctly, for her chapter, her crochet chapter, when COVID was happening, right? I don't know if I'm supposed to say that out loud, but when things were happening in 2020, she started making some puzzles for her friends in the guild, and they loved it so much, She's now got a series of books. So this is her latest one, Large Print Crochet Puzzle Fun. She's got a knitting one. There's another crochet one, but tons, all kinds of just puzzles and things in here. And what I love, honestly, as you've seen evidence of today, I am loving the large print. Gotten to the point where squinting just doesn't make for a fun time. But you can see there's all kinds of puzzles in here, right? We've got crosswords and logic puzzles, which are my favorite, mazes, which is always fun, brings me right back to being a kid, picture slices, even hidden objects, just all kinds of really, really fun puzzles. So definitely check this out. Great price point. I want to say on Amazon right now, this is like $12.99. I don't know if there's still time to get it for stocking stuffers. Maybe if you go open up your second tab to Amazon right now. But we've got links in the blog post as well. And of course, I'm giving away one of these right now too. So I always really enjoy these. They're just so much fun. And she really does such a fantastic job. And it's a really nice paper too. And I personally, some of the pages, not all of them, but some of them also have some really fun little just coloring sections. So a lot of fun to relax with. Little treat for yourself here after all the chaos of the holidays. So do check that out again. Both of these books and this yarn, current giveaways happening on mooglyblog.com right now. So, yes, Dawn, you said you're a beginner Tunisian crocheter. Yeah, it's a great book. I think it's just, I love that it's always right there, step by step. Sometimes you don't want to watch a video, and I probably shouldn't be the one saying that on my YouTube channel, but sometimes, you want to be able to sit down and just kind of look at the picture for a minute and really study it. Fantastic book. Can't say enough good things. So that is what's been happening the last couple weeks. What's going to happen for the rest of the year? I've got a couple more posts for you this week. Like I say, that hat tutorial is definitely going to be one of them. And then I will be back on the 29th for our live for the Crochet Along, the official Moogly Crochet Along 2024 kickoff and wrapping up 2023. Again, that will be at 11 a.m. Central on the 29th, hopefully on YouTube and Facebook. It's always a challenge to get them both working together. And then, of course, in January, I'll be doing more lunch and learns for your inspirations and hopefully the return of Michael's classes in 2024 as well. So fingers crossed for that. So now, drum roll, please. Our big discovery today, we're going to find out how much yarn I officially did use for Moogly Crochet Along 2023. Now, every year, I pick a bag for myself out of my far too large stash of bags and sort of designate it my Crochet Along bag for the year. I keep a skein of each color in here and my hook. And then every time I get a new pattern from one of our designers, I print it out, throw it in the bag. And this is my project bag until the Crochet Along is done. So this year, every time I finished a skein of yarn, rather than throwing the label out or taking a note somewhere, I just left the label in the bag, as well as all the yarn left over, all the little end bits of the skeins. So for the Crochet Along, we have a specific number. I want to say it's about 4,400 yards. That's from memory. Of yarn that you want to get if you want to purchase all your yarn ahead of time. Basically, you want to average about 150 yards of yarn per square, and we do 24 squares. Then you want to allot some extra for joining and whatever border you want to do. If you want a super fancy border, you're going to need a little bit more yarn. But here's what's left for Moogly Crochet Along 2023. So I used Red Heart with Love, as you can see right here. We have one white skein. This one got a little torn up. Sometimes you get to the end, you just rip it off. This is one pewter. This is what was left of the last skein of white. I had to break in just that little bit. You get around halfway through the last round. You have to break open that last skein. This is what I had left for my last skeins of the two grays that I used. I only used these 3 colors this year. Oh, had a little bit more of the gray from another skein, it looks like. I like to keep those little balls. You never know when they're going to come in handy for, starting. When you've got that next square is going to start with just one round of, 12 stitches, and then you have to change color right away. So then these are the rest of my labels. So we've got, so far, one pewter, one white label. So we'll call that 2 because we've got one still on the skein. That makes 3 whites. There's our first light gray. I don't think I used more than a couple of those. 2 pewters. Very exciting television, I'm sure. Another light gray. Another white. I did use a lot of white this year. I really leaned heavily on that. It was sometimes a challenge to do it with just 3 colors. Some of the designers made some extremely colorful squares this year, which was a lot of fun. Okay, so I've got my piles sorted. We used, for the finished blanket, 24 squares for 2023. I used a total of 3 skeins of light gray with this much left over. I didn't expect this to be quite so even. I did not do this on purpose. 3 skeins of pewter with this much left over. Really even amount. Guess after all these years, I'm getting good at it. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, and a little bit of a 5th skein of the white. So that would be, I would want 5 plus 3 of each of those. So 11 skeins total is if I had bought all my yarn ahead of time, which I do. But I always get a little extra because, you know, as a designer, I know I'll use it eventually. But yes, so 11 or 12 skeins of yarn if you want to buy it all ahead of time. Now that's if you're using the Red Heart with Love. Karen 1 pound, if you're using that one, it's a very different size skein. There's a lot more yardage in that one. So you'll need to do a little bit of math. The other thing you can do, a lot of people like to do, is buy a yarn or choose to use a yarn that doesn't have a dye lot. Then you can just purchase it throughout the year as you go. Red Heart Super Savers is a great example. No dye lot yarn. You can just buy, you know, the skeins as you go throughout the year. And that way you don't have to invest in them all right up front. But if you want to, I would recommend doing, probably to be safe, 12 skeins. Now, how you break those up on your colors, totally up to you. Like I say, I used 3 skeins each of 2 of my colors, and then 5 of my main color, my joining color, the color I used throughout the squares. So again, everybody's squares are going to be a little bit different. If you've got more questions, I would definitely recommend that you poke around the Moogly Crochet Along Facebook group, the Afghan Crochet Along Facebook group. It's really going to help you get in some inspiration. You'll see other people's colorways. I love poking through the colorways every year when I have to pick my new ones. But you'll see colorways there. You'll see probably people starting to talk about how much yarn they use. You can definitely ask those who've been crocheting how much yarn they used. You know, if you see somebody who you love their colorway, you can, you know, straight up ask them what yarn they used, and you can probably go out and get those colors yourself. Of course, it'll be all new squares for 2024, which I'm super excited about. Always fun. A lot of the same designers you love, a lot of favorites. Got some new people coming in as well, so that's exciting. But yeah, so that is about it. We're pretty much trying to wrap things up here and get ready to come back for 2024. Exciting, you know, new patterns and everything else, just kind of chugging along, doing what we do. So let's see. Let me go through your comments here one more time. Let's see. Julie says, I have a few skeins left over, but I'll use them for other things. Exactly. Yes. I mean, it's one of those projects where, especially, I mean, can you imagine? You get to the whole thing, you're on block 24 and you're, you know, 6 yards short of making your last square. I always buy a little extra, right? We're crocheters. We'll find a use for the yarn later. And if not, there's lots of lovely charities out there. And hold on to your receipt. If it's a whole skein, you can always take it back. So, yay. Lynn asks, is it possible to go back to the beginning of 2023? Yes, absolutely. You can go back to any of the years. All the posts are still up since 2014. That's how long this Crochet Along has been going. Moogly Crochet Along started in 2014. It's happened every year since. 24 new squares. Now, some of the early years, I was learning too as I went. This was a very new kind of Crochet Along for me to lead. I'd never led one before. Early years, I didn't know to have people guarantee that their patterns would stay up forever. So unfortunately, a few of those have gone away. Those blogs have been shuttered. Those designers are no longer sharing their stuff. But for the most part, for the last several years at least, all the patterns should still be up, freely available. All the posts are on mooglyblog.com, linking back to those blog posts. If you find one from the past years, 2023 should all definitely be there. But, you know, if you go back to 2018, 2019, 2017 and find one that isn't there, I will try and reach out to the designer and recover that pattern, get the new link or have them upload it to Ravelry, whatever we can do to get those out there. But we do what we can. But yes, absolutely. Crochet Along's been going since 2014. Jump on in wherever you like, page through all the past years, pick out your favorites. It's absolutely a very loosey-goosey, have fun with it. You don't even have to make blankets with it. You can use those layouts that I showed you earlier for the bags and things and make all kinds of stuff with your squares. So it's just a lot of fun. One of my favorite things is there's been a couple times people have made them out of thread. So I don't even know how teeny tiny this final squares ended up being, but astonishing, gorgeous, and well past my eyesight level, I'll tell you that much, but so fun to see. So definitely lots of inspiration in the group there to check out. So, all right. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. I think I've got all your questions. If not, please do leave those in the comments or shoot me a message on Moogly or via social media, and I'm always happy to answer your questions. But I think that's it. I've got plenty to do to get ready for the holidays still, and I'm sure you do too. So I'm going to let you go. But I want to thank you so much for being with me again today and throughout 2023 and of course, going into 2024. I really appreciate each and every one of you, all your messages, all your clicks, all your likes, all your subscribes. Thank you so much. And I hope you have an absolutely wonderful holiday season. I'll talk to you all later. Bye, everybody.